What is going on, my beautiful D2D fam? Drip back with another video. And today's video, we have the deck that I took to this past weekend's sneak peek event for Darkwing Blast. Um, this was like a last minute decision. I'm not even going to lie. I was up all night the night before playing 3 different decks, trying to figure out what was the right meta call for my general area outside of not just an overall meta call, but like the meta plus the meta that I know that is in my area at all the different locals that I go to. So I wanted to be able to try to counter them and keep up with them and potentially just win the whole thing. And I felt like branded tier was the best way to do it. I will say in advance, I do not own the field spells. So sadly, even though I want to run the field spells, I do not have the field spells in this list. Um, I played this whole deck without it, and my record was 3-1. I believe it was a 3-way tie for second and third place, basically. Myself, my teammate Eric, and another gentleman that played at the locals. Um, it was basically, I think it was a 3-way tie amongst all of them. Either they got second and I got third, or we all tied for second and third. I can't remember, but it was the tiebreakers were really weird, I will say. But my record was 3-1. My only loss was to Flunder, and I still feel like I could have won that game. On top of that, his list was not the normal list that you see. He was running double impin, which I know for the most part kinda is standard, but he was also running a second barrier statue. So outside of having to out one barrier statue, I had to out two, which was kind of difficult, but I was actually able to get around it. But I also had to play around 2 barrier statue, 2 imprint, and mystic mine, which I played through all of them except for the last barrier statue very well. So there's only so much you can do. Definitely when you're missing one of the main board breakers of this deck, which is the field spell. So I'm happy with the way the deck performed. I'm happy I went with this route. It's been a long time since I've played branded, and it's been a long time since I have actually like posted branded on the channel. So I felt like it was the right decision. I was going to play Sword Soul. One of the other decks I was going to play was Sword Soul, um, and then Tearlament Lunalight, and then my standard Tearlament Orcus because I'm working on fixing that deck, but I couldn't get the cards in time. So I went ahead and went with this. Sorry I'm talking so much. I just want to give you all a recap. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get into this list. So yes, this list will be a little bit more budget friendly. Granted, I do have cards in here that are not budget, mainly because I already have them to my disposal. Started out, my Despia lineup is going to be kind of funky. A lot of y'all are not going to like it, but you have to realize it's not standard Despia. We're running the tier engine too. We got two. Well, maybe two and one. I wanted to run a third tragedy so freaking bad, and originally I was, but I decided I took the third I decided to take the third tragedy out because I mean even though in the grind game the tragedy comes up because in this variant of the deck, excuse me, with the Tearlaments and stuff, the tragedy is more important than Aliber because you're milling so much tragedy will get you to your Aliber, but the third one never really came up for me because I always found a way to get to it, either milling it or sending it off branded fusion and getting its effect off regardless. So I wanted to make more room for more utility cards, which I'll explain more about what took its spot as we go along. Um, and then we have two Fallen of Albaz. I know a lot of people in the Tearlament variant they run one, but they're also the one not running the branded. I mean the Despia engine either, which I feel is incorrect because if you're running branded tier, then there's only so far that even if you're maximize the mills for your Tearlaments, the Tearlaments can only get you so far. That's why if you go look at like almost any other variant of tiers besides pure, um, every other tier variant is paired with another archetype or another engine. And yes, you can argue the Albaz engine is another engine, but you're not running a big enough engine for it to even be considered an engine. you're just running the branded fusions and the one Albaz to be able to shuffle back. But even then, I don't understand why, because if you mill the Albaz, you have no real way to put it back in there unless you're going to use it with your Tearlament, and that's just not very optimal in my personal opinion. Just personal opinion. And these give you so much more utility along with board breaking skills that it's like ridiculously not to play it. And then we got one Albaz in his dragon form, and then one incredible Ecclesia, because this is what I had accessible at the time. Um, Albion was just absolutely disgusting. Albion is like, he was one of the MVPs of the entire deck in the main deck wise. He's just absolutely disgusting. The fact you can constantly recur him from grave if you mill him or whatever, to constantly keep him in your deck or in grave or in hand, wherever you want him, is absolutely nasty. He was phenomenal for me all freaking night last weekend. And then Ecclesia, there was what's really good about Ecclesia is a lot of decks. If you know me, I like to build my decks mid range. A lot of decks can't really deal with other decks that can grind. And the fact that I wanted Ecclesia in there, so if I milled her, and I don't have to go out of my way to get her back or get hand advantage. All I gotta do is my standard combo. That's all I have to do. And if I mill her, then I get to add her back during the end phase. There was an awkward situation where it was against one of my friends. I kind of bricked and he hand trapped me. So I had nothing but a normal summon. I normal summoned this and I had super poly set. So I basically had double super poly on their turn. On their turn, I quick effect tributed to bring out Albaz and then fused off their stuff. And then I had the super poly on the field too to use that as well in the same turn. So even if I bricked, even if you hard draw this, and you don't need a normal summon, at the end of the day, she could still be a normal summon, because that's another reason why I'm running two Aliber outside of Vermilion so much. You're never going to really need the third one. The only reason you even really run three is because one, Aliber's artwork is just badass, and you're a simp for Aliber just like myself, because I'm guilty of it. It's just I have to discipline myself to not to run three in this variant and only this variant, Tearlament version. So in theory, I'm only running uh, pseudo 4 to 6 normal summons, but I am running 3 Merly, so indirectly I'm running 7 normal summons. So you don't really want to have too many. It's weird. It's a weird lineup and weird count, but there's some situations where you don't like have a normal summon and this is all you have. Which, if that is the case, then you kind of bricked up, but it's all good. It worked out for me in that situation, and I was just trying to show you a situation where it did work out, where it can work out. Moving on to the rest, the branded spells, because I'm doing this engine wise. We got 3 opening, 2 fusion, 2 branded in red, 2 high spirits. I know some people who run the Tearlament version of branded. They swap the ratios of this. They run 3 opening and 2 branded and high spirits. I don't like that personally. Just my personal opinion. It's just my opinion. The reason why is because since we're running a low Aliber count, these are 3 more Alibers. So it's basically, I get my Aliber no matter what. And on top of that, yes, this card, you really want to see it because it makes Tearlaments really gross. But the reason why I don't want to run 3 is because once you get 1 online, I don't want to be in a somewhat of a simplified game state when I'm trying to push for game or I'm trying to get back into the game and I hard draw one of these. Because once you have one of these in rotation, you just keep adding it back from graveyard whenever a fusion monster is sent to the graveyard. So in theory, all you really need is one in rotation and you're good. I only run 2 just because one, if I see it, and if not, then I just mill the other one, hopefully. But if you don't know the combo, you reveal this in a Tearlament, and then we're running a Death Frog in the extra deck, and you send him to the graveyard, and this bit is basically a 1-card Kit Kalos. So this paired with Instant Fusion is a 1-card Kit Kalos, so it gives us 3 ways to have an instant Kit Kalos. That's it for the branded spells. On to the Tearlaments. 3 of the best girl, Sheeran, Ed Sheeran. 3 Havness. 3 Merly. Merly's not the best girl in this variant like she is with my Orchest variant, but she's still a good girl. Only 1 Rhino Heart and 1 Sulik. I know some variants run the second Rhino Heart. I don't like that because in the branded version, you're running the Kaleido. You're running the at least I am. I'm running the King of the Swamps, which can count as Rhino Heart, and I only want Rhino Heart for a guaranteed mill, like not mill, but send to the grave, or when I'm pushing for Kaleido Heart, which you normally are regardless, because you really want to set up Kaleido Heart and Solic, which originally I was running a second Solic, but I had to cut the second Solic and the third Tragedy for two other utility cards, which because if you mill this and you didn't really have that much of an optimal hand and you didn't really get to go full brand combo, you're in a very awkward situation as to where like you just search this because this deck compared to other Tearlament variants plays very like passive, which is fine to a degree because you basically want to get this in hand with like a Havness or something and leave your kit on board and then just use this for a permanent negate and then you can either mill off something or use Havness to hopefully get you into your Kaleido Heart or something else to be able to have an additional interaction or an interruption on your opponent's board. So it plays very passive to where it could potentially play around and play through Dark Ruler. That's what I like about it because if they go hard Dark Ruler and you already have Brandon and Red set up, you're still going to get all your interactions anyways because you'll have even though your Mirror J's negated, you can still send for cost. It plays through it, and then your Brandon Red will still get your Chimera and your standard interaction with Branded, and then this will still get to send your kit to the grave because it your whatchamacallit does not follow to the grave. The Dark Ruler no more. Sorry. Um, I don't. But I like my lineup. I like my ratios on my tiers. I'm sticking to it. Now the second Solic and this third Tragedy was Nibiru. Um, I was originally only had 6 in like blind second / go second cards or whatever, and I felt like that wasn't really enough in this format. And I was like, what is the next probably best hand trap / go second card that I could potentially run in this deck? And I was like, well, I only have one light target. I mean, even though you can really only need one light target, and I was like, well, what is the best deck right now, in my personal opinion, is Tearlaments. And then Sprites a close second since they lost the like consistency hit with Frog. Nibiru was like the best like card, and I will tell you is every time I saw this card, I'm pretty sure I won. I can't think of a game where I didn't win, and I saw this card and I resolved it. This card's absolutely disgusting. Definitely this format. The card is just bonkers, and I'm happy that I did it. I really am because I never milled the Solic, and I got the Tragedy when I needed to. Moving on to the rest of the monsters, we got only 2 King of the Swamp because you don't need the third. It's a little bit of overkill, and the 1 Poly. There are awkward situations. There was awkward situations where I had this and then Tearlament and then a Aliver or something in hand or something, just something, and I needed a Poly to get into something to proc my tier. Where I went like Poly, Tragedy, and like a Sheeran or something to make Masquerade and then proc the Sheeran and turn that and the King of Swamp into your Kit Kalos. There's some situations where it does come up. Then to the rest of the go second cards, if you couldn't have already guessed it, Droplet and Super Poly. Droplet's greater than Dark Ruler right now because you don't really have to deal with Toad twice anymore, and you have to worry about Dweller. If you're running Tearlaments, or sometimes even with Branded, you have to worry about Dweller. Dark Ruler's not going to cut it anymore. So not taking anything away from the card, it's still a very good card, and it deals with what we need to deal with. But Droplet is more superior, and then Super Poly is just Super Poly. I don't really need to say nothing. That gives me 8 go second cards in the main, plus the deck just rips through boards regardless. And then the last 2 cards of the deck is a Mystic Mine out and a Instant Fusion for 1-card combos because we like 1-card combos. Deck was really gross. I think it's 42, 43 main deck count. I think it's 42. But if you wanted to add the field spells, I don't really know what to cut. I would just say run 45 and add the field spells. But what I will tell you is at the time of recording this video, I do not think this is going to be the strongest variant of Despia or Branded, if you ask me. So if you don't and you're looking to invest in the engine, like the archetype and the stuff like that, If you are not already owning the Tearlaments or not wanting to run any other version of Tearlaments, I would not invest in Tearlaments. The reason why is the best variant of branded, my personal opinion, at the time of recording this video, will be Bestial branded. That deck will completely power creep this one, I feel, and it will also get a big check. It will put Tearlaments in line, and that the branded version of Bestial can play through a lot and make a lot of negates and interactions and have its own main deck Mystic Mine out. So yeah, I think that will be the best version moving forward. So if you want to invest in something, invest in that variant. We got Ecclesia, Albaz, and Aliber, the best fam trio. Love it. Tokens, tokens, tokens. Battle City tokens. The Nibiru token. I actually got to use the Nibiru token for the first time last weekend. But on for the fusions, one Kit Kalos, and then one Kaleido Heart. This is what I used for the pre-release, and it was really good. Kaleido Heart's disgusting, not being able to be it's unsuper polyable. It's just really nasty. Kid is combo starter, nothing really need to be said there. And I was running two Mirror Jade, but I pulled this card, which I know some of y'all are probably asking. I pulled Royal Kalos. Why did I not put that with the tier cards? Because I didn't want to spoil it yet. But for the event, I was running two Mirror Jade. I only ever summoned the second Mirror Jade one time, but I still think when I did, it was more of a win-win situation. I already had that game on lock, and I could have went something else. Because you just keep looping your Mirror Jade back from your field to your banished pal, and then from your graveyard back with your Tearlaments. So you can always keep shuffling all your fusions back. So basically, like how Tier does regardless, where it shuffles their 5 fusions, which is the ones that's normally in every other version of the deck. This deck can do that, but more, and shuffle your branded stuff back too. So, but yes, I am running the one Rokalos to take the second Mirror Jade slot. This will officially make us to where basically almost Nibiru proof, almost. A lot more Nibiru proof than we were prior to that. Moving on to the rest of the engine. 2 Albion is necessary. People running 1, it makes me cringe. Because you can resolve. You need 1 to summon, and then you need 1 to send off of your Mirror Jade for the standard combo. So I do not understand why people are dropping it to 1. It's very necessary. And then the MVP, 2 Masquerade. I thought about dropping this down to 1, but I'm so thankful I didn't, because there was a situation when I was playing against the Bird player. He went Prosperity, and then he added Mystic Mine, and then he also had Evenly in hand, and I had the standard inboard with the old standard inboard. Oh, I had this, then I had Mirror Jade, and then I had one random tier, and then branded in red, and then he went evenly matched after he added the Mystic Mine, so I knew he had the Mystic Mine in hand. And I went, okay. I went Mirror Jade effect, send Albion, one of my Albions to the graveyard, banished himself, and then kept the Brandon in red, and then just banished the one Masquerade. And then I had ad lib in hand. So then when he went back to main phase, I waited on him to summon a monster or 2 He went field spell, he went map and then summoned a monster, and then I went Brandon in red, grabbed the tragedy, get the ad lib, made my second Masquerade, and then brought back my Mirror Jade. So I indirectly had the exact same board that I did before. So I played round / through the evenly match very well. And it's just little things like that, little interactions you got to be aware of, that everything in this deck plays its role. Because even if he didn't have that, I was going to resolve Mirror Jade twice because I hard drew the Brandon red. So like one Albion's not going to cut it. It's really not. And then this will cut it at 1 though. The reason why is because the main reason we use this is to reserve my Albion and to be able to get to Mirror Jade and to get to the Tragedy Engraved. So one of these is fine. I've never found myself in a situation where I needed the second one because I always recycle this back, because unlike Albion, this doesn't give us any like pluses when we send it to the graveyard off Mirror Jade. So that's the reason why this is like inferior to Albion in this version only. Only in the Tearlament version do you ever need to run only one. If you're running any other version, it needs to be two, hands down. There's no way you're getting around two of the least of everything. Same with Mirror Jade. And then the one Albalinitus, you definitely need to run this because just like I said before, there's times where you can resolve Mirror Jade twice, and you're not going to get no beneficial factor by sending a second Albion because Albion's a graveyard effect. It's only a hard one to turn. So the only real way to plus is sending these two because this will set one and this will add one to hand. And if you're struggling to get into your Tearlament engine and you haven't gotten your Tearlament engine yet, a lot of people forget, but Albalintus can actually add instant fusion because it adds any fusion spell. So this can add instant fusion, which gets you your Kit Kalos, which gets you into your Tearlament plays. On top of that, the Bestial engine is coming, so this will take care of that, whether it be in the branded version of Bestial or the Dragon Link version. You just normal summon Albaz and don't even activate effect or set it face down and just Mega Fleet their whole board, and it's just nasty. So it is very much necessary. And then the standard last ones, if you couldn't have already guessed it, one Dragostapelia, one Mud Dragon, one Death Frog, and one Chimera. I don't understand why people run two. I don't. I really don't. I've never needed more than one. Sometimes I don't even summon that card. The Death Frog is for the high spirits. The Mud Dragon is really freaking disgusting in this format. I mean, in this version of the deck, because if you haven't even gone branded combo yet, and you're going tier plays, you can hard make this with your tiers. Declare light or dark or whatever you want. If you're afraid they got imperm and they're going to imperm your Albion or whatever. Not Albion, but your Rebellion. You just go make Mud Dragon, declare light, and then after that, once you resolve that, you just go Rebellion, and you don't have to worry about this being impermed or veilered. It's really disgusting, dude. It's so nasty. Mud Dragon put in work for me this past weekend. And then obviously the one Chimera. You never need a second one anymore. Not in this variant of the deck, that is. But yeah, Purple Card Turbo, baby. Purple Card Turbo. I'm happy with the way the deck performed. Oh yeah, side deck. Sorry, this is a tournament deck, so you all get side decks. Normally I don't show side decks. Side deck is very toxic, I will tell you. I'm sorry. Started off, I got 3 Dogwood. I'm sick and tired of losing in time. And then this next option, if you've seen my deck profiles for like the past year, since Mystic Mine has like slowly crept and becoming an issue, I've always like swore by this card, and definitely as a budget alternative to Lightning Storm. And now it's a budget out Lightning Storm, and it's a budget out to Mystic Mine without having to main deck a bunch of back row removal. And that is Dark Hole. I've swore by this card for the past year now. This card is actually really nuts for me this past weekend. It was really nice. Definitely because if you see it mid game, this will just proc your tiers too. Fun fact. So if you go Kit Kalos and they go Imperm or something, and you have one of these in hand, you could just go this and it'll destroy the whole entire board, and then your kit will resolve its mill 5 in the grave because this destroys everything on board. So let me make sure I'm reading that right? Double check. I don't want to feed y'all misinformation. This question is the by Corvette. Yes, you can. Sorry, I just didn't want to feed y'all misinformation. And then 3 evenly matched. 3 evenly matched. Evenly matched is just like a better Lightning Storm in this format. That's one thing I'm kind of mad about. I was telling the team, and I was telling a couple of other people at locals and stuff. I'm really mad that like Lightning Storm got its reprint at its like worst time because like not really the worst time. It's kind of the best time, but the worst time at the same sense. The reason why is because the card for this format at least is power creep. Not saying that card's power creep because it's just it's a blowout card, but right now evenly is just so much better. This needs a reprint again, my personal opinion. Evenly's evenly. There's nothing like going saying draw phase, standby, main. And they're like, yeah, you're good, and I'm like, battle, and then you see them deep swallow because they know what's coming. It's hilarious. And then because I'm toxic as shit, Mystic Mine. I didn't get to resolve this at all this weekend, but I have like resolved it in this deck before, and this deck's really nasty and easy. You can play under it really well. You can play under Mystic Mine and break boards very, very easily in this deck if you are very careful. Mystic Mine is just gross, and you have to play it, and just so it can get banned. Panger Tops, because it trades 2 for 1. It's really nasty. Going second with it, just Inherent Summon, Battle Phase Poke, Main Phase 2, Tribute to pop Floodgates or anything problematic. And then the last 2 cards in the deck, which I didn't get to do this to anybody either, is the Branded Expulsion route, the Scythe Lock. I didn't get to do this to anybody because I either won game 1 and when I didn't get to I didn't side this in, because you only want to side this in when you know you're going first. It's like if you lose game 1 and you know you're going to go first in game 2 because it's your call, then you can do this. And then when I had the either my matches didn't go to game 3 and I won game 1 and game 2. If they went any further than that, it was against a deck that didn't really rely on the extra deck, whether it's Flunder or can't remember whatever it was. Because my matches were my first round I played against Goki, really chill dude. Round 2, I played against Flunder. Round 3, I played against PK, and then round 4, I played against Rika Sun Avalon. So the only time this would have ever even came up would have been against the Bird player, because I 2-0'd I 2-0'd the Goki. I believe I 2-0'd the Phantom Knights. I could be wrong. Lance, if you're watching this, let me know if I'm wrong. Just comment down below if we went to game 3. I can't remember. And then Birds went to game 3, and this doesn't matter against them. And then against Sun Avalon, I won 2-0 against that. So, yeah, it never really came up, but you do need to play it because it does come up. And don't play it in the main, because you never know when you're going to lose a die roll, and then it's just bricks in the deck. And then you never know if you're going to play against Flunder or a deck that doesn't rely on the extra deck. So, but that's it for the main deck and extra deck and side deck, guys. That's it for the deck profile, actually. I hope you enjoyed it. I really enjoy this deck. I'm going to get the field spells, but I am probably going to start putting all my efforts when it comes to branded to finishing the bestial version. I still need a couple of cards. I need the bestial Lebellions, and I need a couple more of the little baby little bestials. But other than that, I do think that's going to be the route to go. But with that being said, guys, I hope you all enjoyed the video. I love you guys so much. Be on the lookout for upcoming videos, deck profiles, and all my videos. I got a bunch of stuff rolling out deck profiles wise. But with that being said, please hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Check the description for all the ways to support me. Patreon, if you want one-on-one with me, and like when it comes to building decks, all that stuff, help training, all that stuff. Pick my brain more. Description also carries the Discord link and PayPal and all that other ways to support me as well. Become close to DD Fan. But again, with that being said, I love you guys so much. Have a wonderful night, morning, evening, whenever you're watching this video. Hope you all are staying safe out there in the still age of COVID. It's your boy Drip from Team UD. Sign out till next time, guys. Love you. Peace.